What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the third video in the Road to 1000 series here on the Checkmate Beach Chess YouTube channel. Based off of the title of this video, I have a huge announcement to make. And that huge announcement is that I hit 1,000. I hit 1,000 about 2 weeks ago on August 11th, 2025. And you may be wondering, why didn't you make a video saying that you hit 1,000? And if you take a look at this graph here, I hit 1,000, and I'm there for like a day. And then I kind of just fall off a cliff while I play some of the worst chess that I have ever played. I was losing games in some of the most ridiculous ways possible. I was losing games where I was in winning positions and then blunder back rank checkmate. I was in crushing positions and I lost on time. I lost games where I would blunder a rook and a queen in 2 moves. I was finding crazy ways to lose games. And to be honest, it was very embarrassing, and I didn't want to talk about it. So I took some time, and I thought to myself, what can I possibly do better? And the first was try not to take it so seriously. Your chess rating is not your self-worth unless you're like 2,700 and then it's your personality. But yeah, so the first was try and not put much pressure on myself, which I think I've started successfully doing. It's definitely much harder to do than it is to say. The other thing that I've tried to do was to switch up some of my openings. So is white, as you've seen on this channel before, is that a lot of the games that I played, I would play the Jobava London, and a lot of the games end up in very similar positions with there's like 3 games you get out of the Jobava London, and I was very tired of playing those same 3 games. But I do still play the opening. I do not play it exclusively as I did before. I've moved more towards Spanish and Italian games, starting with e4. Just much more dynamic, more positional. The games are more fun. Crazy checkmate sometimes. Pieces flying off the board. Less weird maneuvering around in the Jobava London, playing the same moves over and over again. Always get something different playing those two, based off of what the opponent plays. Is black. I do play a lot of the Caro-Kann still. It's very solid. I'm just super familiar with it, and the games don't really get away from me like they can in the Jobava London. So I still do play the Caro-Kann almost exclusively when the opponent starts with King Pawn. In addition to the Caro-Kann, I have been experimenting with the Sicilian, which either ends with me crushing people or losing all of my pieces in like 6 turns somehow. So I need to probably practice and study the Sicilian a little bit more before I start deploying it. And then in response to Queen's Pawn's openings, I still do play the Dutch, which I'm still trying to get more familiar with. The games, the king gets a little loose. I'm not a huge fan, but it is the one opening that I've learned in response to Queen's Pawn. So I just play it, and then just kind of figure it out. So yeah, so that's what I've been up to. So now we're at 9:52 right now. I'm going to show you guys 3 games today. The 3 games that I'm going to show you are the game that I originally went over 1,000 for the first time. Spoiler alert, start that back up. I don't know why that just randomly jumps forward. So yeah, we have the game where I hit 1,000 for the first time, and then 2 recent games. I think it's 2 of my most recent games, both of them from today. One black, one white. So let's go ahead and we will look at the first game where I went over 1,000 rating. This one starts off queen spawn, d4, knight c3. Probably shouldn't be playing the Jobava London when the opponent is moving all of his pawns one square, because it's not what you're supposed to play. You're really only supposed to play the Jobava London when you get d5. You need a central pawn commitment from the opponent. Obviously, it doesn't happen here, so we just end up with some crazy stuff. We end up getting it anyway. No tricks in the position with the pawn here. None of these forks that sometimes we like to try and play. So we just have the typical Jobava London setup here, which I develop incorrectly, but it ends up working out fine because that that knight on e2 is there to recapture the dark squared bishop if it's traded off. So it ends up working out. You're definitely supposed to develop this knight after you develop the bishop to d3. And sometimes you don't put it on e2. It just depends on what you've got. But it ends up working out anyway. So I play f3 in this position just to stop this knight from coming in. Some people like to get aggressive and they'll come down here, and you've got stuff like this, and you got pieces just flying down the board at you, and you got to try and maneuver around it. So f3 can go ahead and stop kind of all of that from happening. So I went ahead and played that defensively. Opponent castles, and we get the bishop to d3 where it belongs. Looking to potentially trade it off, not looking to trade it off super quick here in this position because our opponent hasn't developed anything over here. Typically, you want to trade off the light squared bishops if you have the chance, just so you can kind of develop. Well, ideally you want this, and then you can develop your queen up to d3. You just have to watch out for things like this. This is kind of ugly, but that really wasn't an issue here. So we got some pretty standard stuff. Opponent plays e5, forking the pawn and the knight here. I go ahead and move the knight back, allow him to take it so I can reposition the knight on d4. Getting it a bit more active, seeing a lot nicer squares. We were looking at all of this. We got ourselves an octopus. I'm not going to draw the rest of those. It gets kind of sketchy. So now we have opponent plays g4 or bishop g4. Not a great move. This was also not a great response. I was looking to trade these off. And this, I don't know what this was, because this just ends up with me winning a knight. This also it was not great because I now have this check where I trade off the queens. I'm up material. I'm up 2 points of material. The advantage felt way more than that. Eval has it at 3-7. These knights are just they're putting in work. They can get everywhere. I've got the rooks connected. So yeah, I was just trying to get some pieces off the board. Try and make it an easy game. And I'm guessing this was a mouse slip. If it wasn't a mouse slip, then I have no idea what he was thinking, because this, everything takes this rook, and I take the rook, and he resigns. And that was how I hit 1,000 rating, which I was hoping for a much more, I don't know, exciting, hard-fought game where it was going to be a knockdown, drag-out end game where I don't know. No, I wasn't hoping for this, and I wasn't expecting this, because this game was just kind of a mess from both of us, and I don't think anybody liked this game. But yeah, that is how I hit 1,000. So the game will always hold a little special place in my heart. So yeah, that was it. So here is the black game from today. This black game does feature the Caro-Kann, and with the move from our opponent to e5, we're going to play f5, bishop f5, sorry. In the exchange Caro-Kann, I almost exclusively now will play bishop f5. Some people prefer a line like this, and something like this, where we open up here. I'm not a big fan of this. I prefer it the other way. Let's go back here. So we go ahead and we get our 3 connected pawns. This is exactly what you want. And not only are they connected this way, they're connected this way. We have no checkmate threats here, or no checking threats from this bishop or eventually this queen. So we're pretty solid here. And here we do have pawn to c5, where we are now looking for this trade to develop the bishop. We want to get this bishop out so we can eventually castle and get our king to safety. And here we have a check on bishop b5. And in this position, I almost always will play c6, looking to trade the knight for the bishop. And that's exactly what we get here. Opponent castles, and I go for this pin with bishop to g4, pinning the knight to the queen. Oh, excuse me. And once our opponent brings his pawn out to h3, we just go ahead and trade that bishop for that knight. And now we start to try and break apart these pawns in the center. Because if you can get rid of these pawns in the center as black, in the Caro-Kann, I feel like you almost exclusively win. It's just makes a huge weakness in the opponent's position. You get super control of the center here. So we're looking to get rid of this pawn. And you're looking to get rid of this bishop and this pawn. To get rid of this pawn, we have to get rid of the bishop, obviously. So that is our mission from here on out. So on this move, we go ahead and play c takes on d4. Our opponent moves the knight out to the edge of the board. Not a super good place to put it. I don't really know. So here we go ahead and we play ab8, rook ab8, looking for potential down this file eventually. Obviously we cannot take because this knight's here. Just looking to seize control if we need this file in the future. The opponent brought his pawn out to b3. We go ahead and we play g6, looking for potential ways to get this knight out. Obviously, the square that I would like to go to is blocked, and I would like to put this here, but I can't. We also can't put our bishop on this square. It'd be fine in this square. It kind of gets chased around. Gets chased around a lot, actually. It's horrible on that square, actually. So yeah, there's not really a good place to put this bishop. It can live here. It can't live here. So we're looking for any of these ideas, potentially put it here, something like this. We'll see what happens in this game. Opponent plays pawn to c3. I don't take this because I don't want to end up in anything crazy. So I go ahead and I offer him this trade. I didn't feel like he was going to take it. I was looking to get our knight here to f5 for a temporary outpost because I was looking for, if this, then I get this, and now I have a shot at this pawn on d4. And eventually we can start to look to break apart the center after it's temporarily brought back together. Which is exactly what happens in this game. Opponent goes over to c3, reinforcing that pawn so we can't take it here, which is fine. We go ahead and we play c7, protecting this pawn, so the queen can't take it here, but still maintaining the diagonal. And here we have a questionable move from our opponent. My best guess is he was looking at this fork, he saw this, and he was like, ooh, this is awesome. What can possibly go wrong? What can possibly go wrong is you just lose it. So we go ahead and trade down, and I play rook to b5, looking to kick out the queen from the position. It wasn't really doing anything here. It's just kind of like menacingly hanging out in the camp, so I went ahead and kicked it out. At the same time, I was also trying to look to castle, and obviously I cannot castle in this position as the queen is looking directly in the path of the king. So the opponent goes ahead and he plays queen to a3, which still prevents me from being able to castle, but we do get the chance to capture that pawn that we were talking about earlier. And now we can look to fully break apart white center here. My opponent went here, taking the pawn on a6. It wasn't great because it ends up with him losing complete control of the center of the board. As you can see here, forking the king and the bishop. We're just going to go ahead and take that bishop for free. Move the knight out of the way, and our opponent now continues his great attack here with queen to a8. Queen to a8 is a terrible move. It's not a blunder because he doesn't lose anything, but I think he might have forgot that my rooks can go backwards for an easy block in this position. I'm assuming he thought something like this. I don't know. That was never going to happen. So I went ahead and blocked, and back up to a3 he went. And here I finally break apart everything white has in the center of the board here, leaving us with one passed pawn, two passed pawns, three passed pawns, and a little spoiler alert for this game. There's not just one queen on this board that's black. There's another one, and there's another one. There's three queens in this game, and they all show up to the party in different ways. So we go ahead and we have queen b2 from our opponent. Looking at this diagonal, I'm thinking he just wanted me to to blunder away this. I don't know. Maybe he was thinking I would think this, and then this, and then this is a disaster. But no, that was never going to happen. When he moved, I did go ahead and take the opportunity to castle, just to solidify my positions, get the rooks connected, get the rook on h8 into the game, so we can go ahead and make this a little bit easier. So we have another fork. I don't know. Computer doesn't hate this move, but it also just doesn't really make sense. It only makes sense if I don't see that there's two heavy pieces aimed at my knight, which I would definitely see. And even better yet, there's a fork that comes. Take the next rook. Now we're up a full rook and a pawn, I believe. Yeah, we're up 6 at this point. And now these passed pawns just kind of go to work. They're rolling down the board. Everybody stays safe. And here we have, I guess, kind of the end of the game, essentially, in a way. I go ahead and trade off my queen for the rook here. Taking the 2 rooks against the queen. I have these 2 passed pawns. There's no way one of them doesn't become a queen and I win this game. After I push my pawn to d2, we get queen to d4 from our opponent. We just go ahead and line up the rook. He goes back to the first rank. We make a queen. We take the queen. We got the rooks. We got our 3rd queen of the game. And here I just go and pick up some pawns. I had mate in 1. If you've watched the first 2 videos, you know that mate in 1 doesn't really mean anything, because when you can have mate in 1, you can have mate in 3, and when you can have mate in 3, you can have mate in 2, and when you can have mate in 2, you can have mate in 2 for multiple moves. And eventually we got there. This game I did get a little low on time, but I wasn't super worried about it. Didn't panic. Everything was under control. Final moves kind of played themselves. Rook sealed off half the board, and the queen just came in for cleanup. So that was our first game that we had from today. And now we have our 3rd game, much shorter game than the last game. We had this game today as white. This was the latest game to get us back over 950 to 952. In this game, we have e4. And we play the Italian, or an Italian setup. It's technically the Philidor game, but it's Italian setup for white. Classic Italian setup, rock solid Italian setup. This move, the computer calls it a blunder. My bishop is essentially trapped at this point, because with this is the funny part, because now it's a brilliant move. And I thought it was a brilliant move when I played it before provoking c6. I don't really know the difference between why is it brilliant now versus why isn't it brilliant in the game. Actually, I have no idea. But yeah, so we get the pawn. Opponent loses a chance to castle. So we have opponent goes back to e8, back to the starting square. So we're 7 moves into the game. Nothing's really moved for our opponent. All the pieces are pretty much still here. Here I was just trying to get some pieces out, because we have kind of like a weird setup now that we just like traded off this bishop and everything's kind of strange. So my idea was just to start developing. And here I went to playing a3 to play b4 to attack the knight. And now the knight is trapped. So the knight that trapped my bishop is now trapped by pawns. I go ahead and take it there. Opponent takes back queen to a5. And now I get my knight out of the way. and start to reroute it back to the other side of the board, rerouting my other knight back to the middle of the board. Just kind of a knight dance all over the place here. So now we have knight to f5. My idea was if he takes, I can take back and I can trade this off. If he doesn't take, now I have access to g4 if he plays h3, leaving my queen in like a very, very good position in a game where it kind of felt like it could have gotten out of control. But it didn't. And here we do have our opponent playing h3, which gives us the chance to play queen takes g4. Now we've got all sorts of checks here. We've got this check. We've got this check. We can start pushing the king around quite a bit here. But this game ends in kind of a cool way. It does not end on this side of the board. So here we have our opponent taking on g2. And now that this queen's here, not only is this queen offensive, this queen is defensive. We can pick up this pawn. We do have that trade on f4, or sorry, on f5 with the knight and the bishop. And this move, I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with this. I think he doesn't really like to move his king around a lot. I don't know if he was scared about this check on g6. I don't know. But yeah, he gave himself a very bad check here on b7, because this check on b7 ends up ultimately being pretty crushing, because in addition to that, he goes to c8, and his king has taken quite a journey in this game. And now we have a very crushing move here, which is mate in 1. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And after, I guess I could have just played this. I don't know why I didn't just play that. This just seemed more thematic. So I went ahead and I just played rook takes on c7, taking the queen. Opponent resigns, because now is, yeah, it's mate in 1 from there no matter what. Okay, so that is the latest update here. Stopping this video at a rating of 952. I definitely plan to try and get videos out more regularly, positive or negative. If you can show the good stuff, you can show the bad stuff. It's all part of the journey anyway. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Sorry the videos haven't been coming out quite frequently. Got busy, got very discouraged by my chess. Didn't want to play, didn't want to make a video, didn't want to talk about it. Had a bad time. But yeah, so we're more under controlled. We're playing better chess. We're back on track. We're going back to 1,000. Once we get to 1,000, sky's the limit. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.